der zentralen Position. Los, Schwanzer, Hand oder Vorsicht. Dann ist es Fernkampf. Er ist im Strafraum. Tor! Tor! Für die Frankfurter Eintracht. 5:1. Herrje!
Hi and welcome to the German Fußball podcast. A lot to unpack following the German debacle in the international break. But for a change again, we are together today, Dad, sitting together, analyzing German football. Norway playing tomorrow. We have our own problems to take care of. But this is the German Football podcast. But again, pleasure to sit down with you.
Pleasure to be home. This is your room, so this is what I am using all the time. But we put the German football shirt today in the center of this discussion as well, because this is a special episode. International break means that you have a chance to get home. Yes, we're going to the Georgia game tomorrow. Norway got a slight chance.
The faintest of hopes, yes.
Yeah, but I think the Scots and Spain will do it in our group. And then you have to be the cousin of Albert Einstein to understand the National League. But let's just go to Germany. Flick fired. Why was he fired Sunday?
Well, Flick was supposed to come and bring that German national team an optimism, an energy reminiscent of that Bayern team, which he gave to the treble. But after close to 2.5 years, the fact remains it is the second lowest points per game average of any German national team coach. They've lost their last 3 games, one game won in the last 6 games. And that we're talking about a win against Peru, losses against, and no disrespect to these teams, but with the history Germany have, it is Japan, it is Colombia, and these performances it's been sad that, and when we thought we couldn't reach the bottom of the barrel, they go and lose 4-1 at home in Wolfsburg to Japan. You're here to unpack it all now that a Voller, a Neuendorf are going to look for the replacement, but you try to understand how it's gone this wrong with Hansi Flick. I don't know what your immediate thoughts were following maybe the result, but also the dismissal of Hansi Flick.
I think that German football has turned into FC excuses, because this is not a new thing that started. This is not Flick's fault at all. He's a part of it. And why is he a part of it? Because he has been at the regime with Joachim Löw as well.
Yeah.
He was a part of that development that is turned into where they are now. And yes, he had a period very successful at Bayern Munich. Hansi Flick is one of the good guys around. He was a perfect team national coach at the time when he got the job. But the fact is that German football has been bad. They will be terribly bad by the 2 last World Cups. But when we saw the analysis after the last World Cup in Qatar, we won half. Hey, you're out.
Yeah,
you went out. This is German football, so that couldn't happen. So okay, after the World Cup, they should have an evaluation of it. They made like 100 task forces.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody involved. Rudi Voller,
but the people,
Oliver Kahn at the time.
But the people that led the task force, because you had to say at the time, the people leading the task force were maybe the ones that were part of the problem.
Yes, part of, or at least they bear a bit responsibility for the lack of development. If we go back, and it's quite interesting because the interim coach now is Hannes Wolf and Sandro Wagner as like the assistants. Hannes Wolf being a coach, being in Stuttgart, being a caretaker manager at Leverkusen. He has had the under 1920s like a FA kind of guy. And Sandro Wagner was a late bloomer. He's a great TV pundit. I meet him a lot out there. Very popular in Germany. Has done well for as a newly promoted coach. He tried to take step by step as a coach. And at the end, someone also will remember him playing for Bayern Munich at the end of his career. Played 8 games for Germany, 5 goals, which is a good record for any striker. But I will take you back to the last time Germany was struggling big time. That is 23 years ago. And Erich Ribbeck, who was then the coach, did have a bad Euro.
He was the one who had the worst points per game.
He had a worst point per game, and they had to get him out. So, and then there was this Daum affair with a bit too much snow in his hair, and he couldn't be there. So they had a task force, and then apparently, I'm not sure if this is 100% true, but the story is too good to not believe. then in this task force, they said, but Rudi, why don't you do it?
Right.
And Rudi Voller then is the kind of interims coach, take them to the 2002 World Cup, who should be, that they would just go there, they'd have no expectation. What happened is that Germany played a fantastic World Cup.
Yeah.
And they ending up losing in the final against Brazil. That was the game where Ronaldo, the Brazilian Ronaldo, had that funny hair, you remember?
Yeah.
Oliver Kahn had a fantastic World Cup. In the final, he did one or two mistakes, but they lost. And for me, they were maybe the better team. And the reason I remember that game very well was that one of my former teammates, Ben Schneider, was fantastic. Leverkusen at the time was fantastic in the final. Then Voller was the coach in 2004. So it's been that way in German football before, but the problem is that now it's deeper. If you have a look at the logistic at the FA, bad. If you have a look at the enthusiasm of German football, bad. If you think of they have the Euro next summer and they have a team that no one likes to see, no boys say, because the Germans be good at that. It's not like at Wembley, they play at Wembley all the time or one stadium. They take the games around Germany, sell out. People are applauding the team. They love the national team, die Mannschaft. They just love it. But the last time, it hasn't been like that at all. And Flick said after the World Cup, yeah, this is a restart. Okay, then I started in September, or now just after the World Cup, not good at all. And I said, yeah, but now we play Japan at home. Well, that's going to be good. And then bang, 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 bang. And in no disrespect to Japan, has a great national team, as we saw at the World Cup. But still, for the German, mighty German football, that is embarrassing.
No, absolutely. But if we look then ahead in terms of looking for solutions now, by identifying the bad and how they can improve upon that, we see a team, and you say things are poorly run and there is the infrastructure, which is kind of, it's all in combination, isn't it? In terms of one affects the other. But you look at it, I look at the team, and the front line isn't all too bad. I think Germany's been missing a clear number 9 for a long time. Yes, we have Miroslav Klose with Kevin Kurani there for a bit, but haven't had any clear number.
They haven't had a good one, number 9 since
right. And then Havertz is, but it's too easy to blame Kai Havertz as well, because God knows there's enough of that kind of discourse. But the team itself obviously isn't that bad, not at least as bad as these results should suggest. The back line, I think I'm a bit more suspect of. Schlotterbeck at left back, a very poor game. Süle really hasn't taken the next step. Antonio Rudiger, supposed to be, he's been labeled as the leader. I think Rudiger is a good center back. Whether he's the leader of that back line, I don't think so. How do we work from there? Because obviously they can't change the player material. There's something that needs to come in, and we can go into who can be the one instigating that change. But how do you improve upon that?
Well, I think that the German team just shows you how great it is for neutrals to watch football, because you see it's a part of the culture. If it's a lack of culture, performance culture, if there's a lack of identity, to be fair to Gareth Southgate, he has managed to get that into the England national team. They've been good. The quarterfinals, semifinals, finals, they've been doing well. The German national team haven't managed that. If you take player for player, I mean, just take the core of the Bayern players. They're German, but they were also at the World Cup there. I think there is a combination of maybe the balance isn't 100% right in terms of back 4 or back 3, whatever they play. But in goal, they have so many good goalkeepers. They have Ter Stegen, they have Kevin Trapp, they have Manuel Neuer on his way back, and so on and so on. But the thing is, if you can't create that enthusiasm, you need that, because I was like that myself, to play for my country. I so looked forward to meet my teammates, back to see them. You don't get that feeling from the German national team. I'm not saying that they don't do it, but you never get that feeling. And we live as fans to see what's going on there. And if you've got this dynamic, as Harry Kane will see in Germany, a lot of foreigners coming to German football, they will see that and it's nothing to do with the media. It's just that the national team in Germany is very, very important. Because if the Mannschaft is schlecht, is bad, then kind of the German football is bad. Same as if Bayern Munich is bad in Europe, then the German football, although you support other teams, but then the brand German football is so bad. And this is a team, I mean, I mean, go through the history of football. I mean, it's a fantastic team. 54, 74, both World Cups. They were in the 66 final. I just take you back to start. They've always been there. And around them are all world-class players who are now TV pundits, advisors, coaches, and so on. That's it. Yeah, I see what you tried to do, but remember, we won the World Cup. I mean, we won the Euros. This is a country of winners. And the sad thing I want to say at the end is that somehow, I love to go to Germany. I love to work in Germany. But there is a general pessimism around the German society, being the politics, being business, being sport. Although the German basketball team, I mean, let them be role models, beating the US superstars in the semifinals, winning, I was 83, 77 or 86, 77, whatever, Serbia in the final, and they won it. Mm-hmm. And so it was an interesting week when Germany are so bad football-wise, and in basketball, they're fantastic.
Yeah, it was sort of an upside-down world in a sense. There's obviously been a lot of reports, articles upon Hansi Flick's departure. One of our former guests, Rafa Honigstein, as well, had a pretty damning kind of indictment almost of Hansi Flick's leadership style, communication style. And fittingly enough, there is the Amazon documentary has come out, I believe, when they went out in Qatar as well. That gave a little insight into what was lacking at the time as well. But then who is then to come in and kind of fill that vacuum or lack thereof, which Hansi Flick has left behind? There's a lot of names being spat out. There's a lot of prominent German coaches, obviously. I saw even Van Gaal was almost in the mix. How do you see it then?
Well, first of all, I want to say that coaches like Flick and Zinedine Zidane, who got a different style, I'm not saying they're similar, but it's kind of similar in the way of doing games. So when Flick used the philosophy at Bayern winning, that was a fantastic way of doing it. He's trying to do exactly the same for Germany. That is a weakness. So sometimes that is hard done by. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's all about the coaches winning. They have a good philosophy. That's how we see it, black, white, all of it. To summarize the candidates for the national coach position in Germany, it's quite easy. The big dream, the wet dream of all German fans is to get Jurgen Klopp. But Jurgen Klopp, very dedicated manager, always kept his promises to see out his contracts. I suggested in a tweet, could it be that he maybe will do part-time Germany, part-time Liverpool? I think that is a dream for German fans as well. Okay, let's give him half-time, but I don't think they would do that. I don't think Klopp wants to do that. He is very dedicated to restart Liverpool. He has started well now in the Premier League. So I think so Klopp won't have to do it now.
And they've declared that they want a long-term solution. Or so
they want to accept. Having said that, there is always in between solutions also with Klopp. I will come back to that. Then you have Roger Schmidt, who is in Benfica. He's always a candidate. Did a fantastic goal for PSV. He's well respected in Germany. Can work with young kids. That is one. The obvious one who is free in the market is Julian Nagelsmann. Funnily enough, Bayern got to decide the fee, and you will ask, but he was fired. But he's kept on the wage slip of them, and he hasn't said anything after he left, which is quite interesting. So nobody knows where he will jump after that. Then you have Ralf Rangnick, who is an Austrian coach, who is always a name popping up. But thank God for my Austrian friends. He said today in the press conference, of course, I stay here. They have a good team. As we are speaking, this is the day before they play Sweden at home. If they win that, they're nearly at the Euro. So he won't leave there. So then we're starting with them. You could put other names in as well, but I'm saying the most realistic ones. So what I'm doing now is then that to take Rudi Voller as a coach, and then you have Hannes Wolf and Sandro Wagner as his assistants. So as we were preparing for this episode, Lothar Matthäus, a legend in German football, legend in world football. He is listened to because he has a very great position as a pundit in German football. He says, let's keep Rudi Voller till the summer, if we can get Jurgen Klopp after the Euro. Would that be a suggestion, or will that be something that Klopp wanted to do? I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm just saying, just shows you in all kind of arrangements the Germans now are doing. Klopp, they feel, as Liverpool feel, he's a perfect Liverpool manager. As Dortmund felt he was a perfect Dortmund manager. Mainz, seeing him as the perfect Mainz manager where he started, just shows you that Klopp got that identity that to get them going again. I think that Jurgen Klopp, if the Germans could get him as a Bundeskanzler, a prime minister, they will take that as well. Mm-hmm. So that is normal. But I think more realistically, I think that I got a feeling that when you go into the Euros, we are now in soon middle of September. It's down the road. It's 10 months away. Who else could be better than Rudi Voller? Everybody talking about they love Jurgen Klopp, but Rudi Voller is the same. I mean, he is the mascot. He is the darling. He is the favorite of all.
Obviously Germany would need obviously there's limited you can do tactically with a team like that. And Hansi Flick was experimenting a lot with it. Inverted right back with Kimmich, whatever. What would Rudi Voller, would he bring that order, that enthusiasm? What do you think he would?
Rudi Voller will do as Franz Beckenbauer did. But Jürgen Klinsmann, when he did the job, he tried more things out. Just before the World Cup in 2006, people were so against him because he did a lot of different stuff, and then they ended up being the third in the World Cup, made a fantastic World Cup for the whole world. At the end, Italy won it, but Germany was so close. So I think that Rudi Voller will steady the ship. He will try to build a bridge between the team and the German population. And why do I always speak about the Mannschaft in the society? Because I think that is the only thing you can do. Mm-hmm. Because as you were saying, you have the Germans, you have the limited number of players. They don't have as many candidates as England have. So they have to play with them, with the players they do have, and they have a good enough team. But Rudi Voller got to have that enthusiasm to do that. Say that Rudi Voller he's getting older as well. He's been interim coach 23 years ago, so he's getting older as well. He has more or less retired to at Leverkusen. He got an honorary position, but he still is like the sporting director at the German FA. Another thing could be if Klopp says, I'm not finished in Liverpool, I want to fulfill my contract as he always has done. It could be Matthias Sammer. Matthias Sammer is kind of if you had not a pope, but if you have the main cardinal in if Germany with football was a Vatican state, he will be the main cardinal. He has once, together with my good friend Steffen Freund, built up the German Jugendabteilung, the youth academies. And a lot of people say we have to do that again. Having said that, Matthias Sammer got a good job as advisor at Dortmund. He's getting older as well. I'm not saying that they can't do it because of their age, but there's some way when you come to that position or stage in life, it's 24/7, everybody will be after. So Matthias Sammer could be a candidate as well in a longer term, or maybe they can talk him into doing that before for the Euros. But I think that if you choose between a short-term solution, Rudi Voller is the perfect one because he is a popular figure. He will, like I said, build that bridge, and then somehow the players got to find out how they're going to play together with the coach. Because, I mean, look at the team. I mean, Japan. How good were Japan?
Very good, but Germany looked extremely vulnerable, very much so. So it'll be interesting, but also intriguing that there are two not traditional coaches per se that are two of the favorites, if you put it that way. But maybe that is what it needs. Maybe less tactical.
That's German. That is German. We always go back to these guys when there are task forces. Bang. When Bayern is struggling, Rummenigge is the back. That is the German way of doing it. And I think that is the reason, that is the price you have to pay. And I say quote, the price you have to pay. Because when you are a fantastic football nation, as Germany are, you go back to the professors. You go back to the ones that showed what you can do. Because but the exception is Nagelsmann. Because Nagelsmann is a total different, because he's a young coach.
And you also have a substantial, and saw that on ESPN, where you're part as well, in which that was a topic in which Nagelsmann left Bayern, and there's a substantial Bayern cohort at the German national team as well. Whether that plays in as a factor as well, I don't know, but there's a lot of different factors in the equation.
Exactly, and that is German football as a whole, because they have different roles, different hats on. So then Karl-Heinz Rummenigge and Uli Hoeneß, do they have something to do with this? Of course they have. Everything that's going around, they will have something to do. Okay, they fired him. Okay, well, how do we do that? But I think they will find a solution. But I think that the political compromise will be Rudi Voller, the most likely thing to happen. Will a Julian Nagelsmann as the national coach, it can be seen on a short term as an experiment, because there's only 10 months left before the Euros. I'm not saying that he wouldn't succeed. I'm just saying that can be seen like that. Roger Schmidt, he hasn't had the experience doing a national team, and also Julian Nagelsmann, if they said that he couldn't handle the big stars, okay, should you then take the national team? Again, I don't know if that's true, but that is the assumption that he can do that. So it's going to be interesting to follow. No, first they start France. They're playing France, a great France team. I saw that they're going to rest some players, but I mean, if you compare Germany with France, and you see, I mean, going forward, as strikers of France, we're going to have an episode just to talk about the people going forward at France. And if you compare that with Germany, but still Germany got a team good enough to be a lot better than they are now.
Absolutely, at this current rate. I mean, if there is a semblance of positivity, Leroy Sané has started well for Bayern. He looked fresh. Ter Stegen was one of Germany's best players that game, which says it all after a 4-1 loss. It'll be certainly interesting to follow, and obviously that will be updated in accordance to our German Fußball Bundesliga roundups as well. So it'll be interesting to see that. Another day, another lovely, intriguing day in German football. But for now, thanks a lot, and then we will see what the future holds.
It's true that it's going to be a very interesting week, and on Friday the international break is over, and it's Bayern Munich against.
And you'll be there.
I'll be there. So it's going to be a fantastic week for everybody who loves German football and German football. To follow German football, it's all about the analysis also of the intrigues and the power battle. Hansi Flick, one of the most popular personalities in German football. Everybody loves him. Well, everybody loves him, but he was fired, and that just shows you how brutal football business is. You have to win football games.
Genau.
Wiedersehen.